Hi, if you're in a sexless marriage and you still care about your husband, he still cares about you. So there's a lot of friendship and maybe even laughing and loyalty and caring about each other. You care if he takes his lunchbox to work. He cares if you have gas in the car. So there's like common like partnership, friendship, but there is no passion, desire, being in love, like even wanting to be naked with him. You don't have that. You hope that he starts something, so you start going again, but he doesn't do anything. So he seems like he doesn't want that either, like he doesn't want to touch you too much or get like physical in that sense with you. So please watch this video because you might be looking wrongly at the problem. Like the problem that you think is the problem might not be the problem. So it's not how you dress. It's not the fact that you're breastfeeding and you're having children, and that might be, I don't know, gross for him, and he's not seeing you as a woman anymore, just like a mother. It's not gaining weight, perfumes, lingerie. So this is how women try to solve it, right? They try to maybe go to the hairdressers, to the gym. Men do the same, maybe. But this is not the problem. What breaks this polarity, this attraction, this desire, right, is the fact that we get too comfortable with each other. So these are two opposites of a great marriage: having the great emotional connection and love, and having the desire and passion. Like these two are required to have a great marriage, but they're polar opposites. So the desire and attraction and passion part requires newness, freshness, playfulness, which means, for example, if you see each other all day only at home and you don't see each other, for example, at work. At work, maybe we are our best, like with our best clothes and professional and like maybe admirable and respectable. And you see, like if you would have lunch maybe with your husband or vice versa, you would see that other people admire him and look up to him because they don't know he leaves his socks on the floor and he's acting like a man-child at home, and you keep nagging him like he would be a child. So what's missing is like, and what's creating the lack in polarity and admiration is actually, especially after having children, as women, we become very giving, right? Like, and caring, and giving and doing a lot for our partners feels like this is love or this is what we should do. And then they're not giving back. We kind of create this dynamic of mother and child. It's very, very common. You have no idea how common it is. I'm not saying this to, I don't know, like call you out in any way. It's very, very common for women after they become mothers to become somehow like to recreate the same dynamic with their husbands. So just to give you maybe a change of perspective, when you were at the beginning with your husband, so like if you want to recreate a polarity that we all have in the beginning, right? So how did you feel about him? How were you thinking? How were you seeing him? How were you thinking about him? How did you feel about him? Most probably you saw him as capable, admirable, respectable, right? And you wouldn't like tell all like small orders, like pick up your socks and you should do that, like you should take the garbage, you should, right? Like you wouldn't become his manager. So that's what we try to do when we become, especially after we become mothers, we can become kind of like the managers of the home, and we start telling everyone what to do, of course. And it feels exhausting for most women, this, right? Like, because we see what needs to be done and we have the impression that they are blind, that they don't see, which is normal. Evolutionarily, men don't see the home environment as we see it, and for them not everything that is misplaced is like perceived as an emergency and danger, and we think they're not capable if they're not seeing it like as we see it. Like there's all these things needing to be done and you're not doing anything. Like what's the matter? That I should tell you, right? Like because you're obviously blind or you're acting like a teenager or a man-child. So we start acting like seeing him as a teenager and acting with him like he would be a teenager and incapable and not respectable, not admirable. And we start disrespecting our husbands very much. So this is the key I want to give you in this video. The thing that creates polarity for you and for him, maybe the most important one. There are several things, but maybe the most important one is the respect. So we lose respect, and we lose that respect not because they're not picking up their socks. We lose the respect when we give and give and give and give. This is something that we do. We lose ourselves, right? Like we don't do the things that may make us happy. We're not enjoyable ourselves either. We are mostly stressed and overwhelmed and burned out. And we become this version of ourselves, like who's always unhappy, maybe angry, frustrated, demanding, and controlling. We don't see it that way. We see it like, I'm trying to save the house. Like I'm the only one who cares. I'm trying to make everything perfect, like everything work perfectly because he doesn't and nobody cares. Like I'm the only one who cares. We become very disrespecting. We become seeing our partners as incapable, not because they actually are. You will find evidence. So if you think that somebody is not capable and not respectable and not admirable, you will find all the reasons why. So your brain will just look for reasons why, right? And you will feel more and more that he's not worthy of your respect, and he's like a man-child and a teenager, and you will be more and more controlling and very unpleasant. I have to say, like, I have to tell you this, I've been there. Most women go through this phase, like we become unpleasant, like we are not our best selves, like that's not our best selves when we are stressed and overwhelmed. And you might say like, well, yes, but I have to because he doesn't. Most women, when I ask them, they don't give the opportunity. They don't even let their husband to do things because, for one, like this is very common. He doesn't do it as well as I do. It's better if he does it than not, right? Like there's a lot of women who, for example, their husband does something and then they redo it, like redo the bed, redo something because it's not perfectly like according to your standards. So everything has to be according to your standards, and it becomes very exhausting. It becomes very controlling and exhausting, like for you in the first place. It becomes very unpleasant for you and for your husband. So this is where you should look. It's not the going to the gym and perfumes and buying lingerie. It's the dynamic that is created in the home. Very, very common, like very, very common, and leads to sexless marriages, of a caretaker and child, mother and maybe teenager, right? It's not only your husband. Like most men are like this. If your man has a job and is providing for the family, he is capable. He would be capable of doing a lot more if you would let him, if you would tell him in a way that is not disrespectful to him, if you would tell him in a way like you're his wife, not his mother, if you would tell him in a way that something would make you happy, like this is expressing desires, like telling him what would make you happy instead of controlling him and giving commands, because your standards of how the house should be are your standards, are not the absolute truth. As women, it's very hard. Like we need our environments to be perfect so we're not stressed. But we stress ourselves a lot more. We put a lot of stress on our relationships with the children and with the husband by trying to resolve with the stress for the stress with the house. So either we become minimalists, either we let our husbands and children do things not perfectly, either we express a desire, like knowing that they want to make us happy, but not in a controlling way, like this is how the house should look like. Those are your standards. Those are not international standards of how a house should be and should look like, and how many times something has to be done around the house, right? So those are your expectations, and you force them on everyone else. I know I've did this, so there's no shame for anyone. This is what we all do. So trying to solve for this stress, we put a lot more stress on our relationships and we're a lot worse. So actually being uncomfortable with things not being done perfectly and learning how to express it in a way that all children want their mother to be happy. All husbands want their wives to be happy. They love it the most. Like that's the best thing in the world you can ask any husband, you can ask any child. Like the best thing in the world is seeing their mother smile. But moms, especially, we end up not smiling anymore and always being unhappy, and others not even knowing what to do to make us happy because we're always unsatisfied, or there's like things are never good enough, right? So we have to take care of ourselves, like making ourselves happy and telling others how they can make us happy without controlling them, without putting expectations and like a job on them. I hope this is helpful. Think about this. This is the number one thing that ruins physical intimacy, is actually respect. It's not how your body looks like. I promise you, it's not the lingerie. It's not going to the gym. Work on being respectful. And if you want to, a lot of women say, but I respect my husband. And then when I ask them questions like, do you do things for him? Well, yes, because I have to. Well, you don't have to. He's capable of doing those things. Do you tell him what to eat, what to wear, when to go where, how to act, like how to be a father, right? Like it's so annoying. Like if my husband tells me how to be a mother or how to be a parent, like we should all mind our own business. If you tell him how to be in the world, like I don't know what our husbands did before meeting us and how they could exist and survive in the world, right? So if you're trying to control him in any way, criticize, blame, complain, nag, or just tell him, well, like what to eat and what to wear, and he shouldn't drink that, or he shouldn't drink that much, he should go to bed earlier, he should meditate, he should be more careful with the children, he should do that, he should do that, then it's controlling. Like imagine if you want to, the only relationship where we can model respect and think about like what is actually respect is with friends. With children, we don't have it. With husbands, we don't have it. In at work, we don't have them. At work, like there's always control. The only relationship where there's not a lot of control, and that is why they are so easy, is friendships, right? With friends, we don't tell them to pick up their socks and what they should eat and what they should order at the restaurant and how they should parent their children. We might tell them like, hey, this is what worked for me with my son. Like, I did this, I told him this, and it worked, right? But we don't tell them like, this is how you should parent your child. So with friends, we tend to be the least controlling possible. So if you want to think about like what is respect, like act with your husband in a way as if like he would actually be your friend. It looks like you are friends and just roommates, but there's control. So those are not friends and roommates. Like if you would be just friends and just roommates, you wouldn't control somebody so much. Like you wouldn't try to make them do all the things that you think will make you happy. They won't, because if you're not happy on your own, like despite whatever happens around you, all those things that you think will make you happy, starting with vacations, cars, homes, husband acting in a certain way, child acting in a certain way, those things actually don't bring happiness when you're not okay inside. So maybe an invitation and a challenge for you is actually downgrade the relationship with your husband and not seeing him as your husband, because seeing him as your husband, you have all the expectations put on him. Like a husband should do this and this and this and this and this, or if he's a husband, he should do this and this and this. It's better to try to see him then as a roommate that you are curious about, that you don't know very well. So you would be curious, playful, like it would be something fresh. Even if they do, like in the beginning of a relationship, even if the other person does something, I don't know, that's annoying, but if they do it the first time, it doesn't annoy you. So it's not the behavior that annoys you, it's the repeating behavior and what you make it mean in your mind. So seeing him maybe as a roommate and flirt with him, right? Like not directly, like flirt with him, have nice conversations with him. You don't only talk about children and all the organizational stuff. Like you are curious about him and you share things about you, right? Like if you act, like there's this saying, if you act as in the beginning of the relationship will have no end. So if you look at him with fresh eyes, curious eyes, just being playful, right? Like you create that dynamic of polarity, but then there's no control. Try this. Like this is a challenge for you today. Bye-bye.